Hello and Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Abdul Basit. I hope that everything is alright. We are reading Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. And in the previous video, we talked about the first 4 chapters of the part 1 of Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. And in those 4 chapters, we learned about the identity of Gulliver, Lemuel Gulliver, and we also came to know about the political parties, about the some religious sects that were on at daggers drawn against each other in Lilliput, and they refer to the political parties and the religious sects of England if we dig deep into the Gulliver's Travels text. Okay, because Gulliver's Travels is an allegory, so there are allegorical and symbolic meanings of the big Indians and little Indians, and at the same time the high heels and the low heels. Okay, so these are actually the political parties and the religious sects that are found in Lilliput, the part 1 of Gulliver's Travels. But as a matter of fact, they refer to the political parties and the religious sects of England. We came to know in the previous video, in the previous chapters, that Flimnap, who is an expert of rope dancing, is the caricature of Sir Robert Walpole, who has been the Prime Minister of England for 2 times. Okay, since Sir Robert Walpole was an expert parliamentarian, he had a great skill in political intrigues and parliamentary issues. Similarly, Flimnap has a great skill regarding rope dancing. Again, we have learnt about all these things in the previous 4 chapters. Well, today we are going to read the next 4 chapters of the part 1 of Gulliver's Travels. So let's begin. Chapter 5. Blefusc was an island separated from Lilliput by a channel only 800 yards wide and about 6 feet deep. So it was not difficult for Gulliver to wade through the channel. Since Gulliver had made a promise to support the Emperor of Lilliput, he got busy, and while making use of a few cables to which he tied some hooks, he succeeded in pulling 50 of the enemy's largest ships towards Lilliput and thus crippling the enemy fleet. The Emperor got delighted and conferred on Gulliver the highest title of honor which existed in Lilliput. Afterwards, the Emperor asked Gulliver to cause damage to all the armed forces of Blefusc and to destroy that empire completely so that he could rule the conquered people through a viceroy. Well, if we look at the Emperor's desire to conquer Blefusc, it refers to the English people's desire to conquer the whole world, to rule. Okay, it refers to the colonization of the other nations. It refers to the subjugation of the people of other nations. Okay, well, as you already know that the Englishmen, the English people had subjugated almost half of the world in the past, and this thing, the Emperor of the Lilliput has a desire to conquer Blefusc, and he wants to rule over there through a viceroy. And this is what the English people did. They ruled a great area of the land through their viceroys, and subcontinent is the best example in this regard. All right, so here Jonathan Swift satirizes the English people's desire to subjugate, to colonize, and to conquer the whole world, and he also satirizes their desire to rule the world through their viceroys. Then Gulliver also sought permission of the emperor to visit the empire of Blefusc, but the emperor refused because of the conspiracy against him by Flimnap and Bolgolam. One night, the palace was on fire. Plenty of water was required to extinguish the fire. Gulliver did this service by making water on the palace and saved the life of the empress and many others. The emperor was happy with Gulliver for doing this service, but the empress got angry because it was prohibited by law to make water in the vicinity of the palace. Queen Anne actually has been ridiculed here. Okay, well, here Gulliver wants to leave for Blefusc. He asks permission of the emperor, but he is not given the permission because there is a conspiracy against him. Well, you can see that in the land where the people of 6 inches height live, they are always involved in conspiracies. They are always involved in creating plots against each other, against the other people. Okay, so this thing refers to the conspiracies that are going on in England, because in fact Jonathan Swift victimizes the people of England who are always involved in conspiracies, and they conspire against one another in order to humiliate them, in order to take the high position. So Jonathan Swift satirizes this evil part of human nature, that human beings are always involved in some kind of conspiracy against one another. Chapter 6. The animals were also of small size. For example, the horses and oxen were between 4 and 5 inches in height. The Lilliputians buried their dead with heads of the corpses directly downwards, because they had a belief that after 11,000 moons the dead would rise from their graves, and the earth would turn upside down and they would find themselves standing on their feet. The criminals were severely punished, especially fraud was the greatest crime, and the punishment for this crime was death. Okay, well, here there is a reference to the the beliefs, the false beliefs that people usually have, the superstitious beliefs actually. Well, the Lilliputians buried their deads with heads of the corpses directly downward, because they had a belief that after 11,000 moons the dead would rise from their graves and the earth would turn upside down. So when the earth would turn upside down, they will rise on their feet. So this was a superstitious belief of the Lilliputians. So this thing actually suggests the superstitious beliefs of the English people, or if we broaden the canvas, this thing refers to the superstitious beliefs that all the people of the world have. Flimnap becomes hostile to Gulliver. He discusses the expenses of Gulliver's food on the dining table because he wants that Gulliver should be dismissed from the country. Gulliver's name is also involved in a scandal. A scandal was created about Gulliver and Flimnap's wife, but Gulliver succeeded in clearing the name of the lady and his own. Okay, so here we come to know that there are scandals going on. Flimnap tries to create a scandal against Gulliver in order to in order to undermine him, in order to humiliate him in front of the emperor. All right, so there is a conspiracy again here. that is contrived by Flimnap against Gulliver. Chapter 7. One day, a lord from imperial court called on Gulliver in strict secrecy. He informed Gulliver that Flimnap, the High Treasurer, Skyresh, Bulgolum, the High Admiral, and a few other dignitaries, all hostile to Gulliver, had conspired against him and had prepared articles of impeachment against him for treason and other capital crimes. Gulliver found that he had been charged with having urinated within the vicinity of the royal palace, having refused to seize the remaining ships belonging to the Emperor of Blefusc, having held secret meeting with ambassadors who had paid a visit to Lilliput, having now made up his mind to pay a visit to the court of Blefusc after receiving only a verbal license from the Emperor of Lilliput. So these are all the conspiracies against Gulliver that have been contrived by Flimnap and Bulgolum and all the other people who are hostile to Gulliver, who are Gulliver's enemies. The punishment for this impeachment was to sentence Gulliver to death. But Reldresal, who was the well-wisher of Gulliver, suggested he should be blinded in both eyes because the loss of his eyes would not be an impediment to his bodily strength and he would still be useful for the state. Gulliver, after coming to know about all this conspiracy, decided to take shelter with the Emperor of Blefusc. Gulliver could have caused a lot of destruction in Lilliput, but he did not do so. He escaped to Blefusc through the intervening channel. He was welcomed by the Emperor of Blefusc. 3 days after his arrival in Blefusc, Gulliver saw a large boat overturned in the sea. It was a boat of normal size which could carry Gulliver over the sea in case he wanted to leave Blefusc. An urgent message from the Emperor of Lilliput for the Emperor of Blefusc also came, in which the Emperor of Lilliput had asked the latter to send Gulliver back to Lilliput because Gulliver had fled from justice and had proved himself a traitor. But the Emperor of Blefusc did not comply with the demands of the Emperor of Lilliput. Gulliver decided to leave Blefusc through the boat that he found in the sea. After covering some distance, he caught sight of a ship and hailed it. He boarded the ship and reached home on 13th April 1702. So here the part 1 of Gulliver's Travels ends. So in this part we have come to know that there are conspiracies all around. There are there is a love for power of the emperor, and there are so many other things that belong to the evil. Okay, so evil nature of human beings have been exposed here. The evil designs of the politicians, the evil designs of the political people, the politicians who want to gain personal benefit, and they do not avoid harming other people for their personal benefits. So I hope that you have got complete understanding of these 4 chapters as well, and you have got the complete understanding of the part 1 of Gulliver's Travels. If there is any confusion, if there is any problem, you can ask questions in the comments below without any hesitation. And if you like the video, if you like the content, please hit the like button, and if you are not one of my subscribers, please do not forget to subscribe to my channel for much more interesting and useful content, useful videos. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye, take care.